Welcome back to the Lonely Road. We're here to join you on your journey to heal and become a better human. And I don't know about today, man. It just feels like it's a good conversational day. We kept fucking falling into conversations here as we're sitting in between recordings and everything else. Bree and Sarah are going to get driven fucking crazy because we're off doing whatever. But it's probably because this is my second G Fuel today. Dude, I feel
Oh,
fantastic.
all
They
right.
I didn't even say this in the first recording. Use code RMTS to check out. They love me over there. Um, they sent me a new package with a whole bunch of new flavor. Yes, it just makes
You're all
life
yes,
feel
please.
better. I got raspberry cream energy drink, and that's fucking fantastic. I
Oh,
got
wow.
a bomb pop one.
Ooh.
That's the one I'm drinking right now. That's
Hmm.
pretty fucking good. Dude, it makes me feel happy.
Okay.
Makes me feel, yeah, exactly. You got to love the little things in life.
Yeah,
And, at some
absolutely.
point, you got to be happy
Absolutely.
about the things you have. KJ, how's it been?
You know, it's good. It's good. Life is hectic and it's Christmas season. The holidays, Thanksgiving, we're not even at Thanksgiving yet. But it is, as we're recording this, we're not at Thanksgiving yet. However, it's just the hustle and bustle is getting there, but honestly, feeling more calm internally, which is
Yeah.
good, which is good. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. It's
It's
interesting.
weird because that calm,
Mhm.
I don't think things are more calm now in either of our lives.
Yeah, no,
But I said this on RMTS too. I literally feel like the dog that's sitting there with everything burning down around them. They're sitting there with their coffee cup and just saying everything is fine. And at some
yeah,
point, it'll all be fine. I'm going to fucking make it fine. Guess what? Some days I don't feel like making it fine today. I feel like letting it all burn and letting everybody see that it is actually burning and I'm making it okay.
yeah, yep. It's today getting into putting into perspective what we're talking about. Something that every single one of us bumps up against. That moment where we either hand ourselves an excuse or we hand ourselves strength. We have a choice to make. We come to that crossroads in our lives. And listen, giving yourself strength doesn't always look like you're charging up a mountain or you're superhuman, or it's choosing the harder truth over the comfortable story that you're telling yourself or you're telling others, you know?
Yep.
And honestly, it's not about shaming yourself, and it's not about telling yourself or self-deprecation. It's not about telling yourself you're bad. It's about recognizing the moments when we sell ourselves short, by not looking further inward, and into that strength we all.
Yes. So we're back. Apologize for cutting off your rant. I wanted to make sure the girls were taken care of and inside, but they didn't want to come inside. They wanted to wait and be respectful. God, I love kids that are too respectful, I guess. I don't fucking get it, but whatever.
All right, so back to my little thought. Taking responsibility, and giving yourself that strength instead of excuses. It's not about making this episode about shame at all. It's really about recognizing the moments where we sell ourselves short, and telling ourselves the absolute complete truth. And the things that we tell ourselves may not be not the truth, but not looking inward deeper, or giving yourself the strength to do so, make those apologies or whatever needs to happen. Um, sometimes it's admitting that you're scared. Um, and we don't hand ourselves that excuse. It's about learning how to shift that energy into power, instead of making that easy excuse.
And as a whole, the other part of it is realizing that not everything is uniquely just all bad or just all good. As we said in the last episode, people could be trying to do positive things for you and say them in a rough, blunt fucking way,
Yeah.
and you not fucking be able to receive it that way. Just because, like, some people just can't firmly grasp exactly how fucking people receive things. So that your dad or your mom or your cousin or whatever say things that you can't fucking receive that way. sometimes those things hurt you more than what anybody realizes, and you don't want to accept it in that way. But I think that that's the hardest part is learning that, 25% of situations you deserve an excuse of, oh, I handled that correctly. They're the one that fucked up. 75% of that time, it's somewhere in between, or you need to fucking hold yourself accountable and fix it or work
Honestly,
on it.
it could be two things could be true at one time.
Yeah.
I mean, you both could be the asshole. It's just we're gonna learn how to break the cycle. We're gonna learn how to build strength in those small but sustainable ways. I think, and especially during other seasons of grief. So much of it is around us these days that we need to sustain through it. So we're going to learn how to do that through these seasons of healing and transition. So I think that we could probably start with why those excuses feel so safe. Zach, what do you think?
I think the safest part and the reason why we give ourselves excuses is the same exact reason why we never fully learned how to say sorry at fucking 5 years old is saying, no, mom, I didn't do it. I promise I didn't do it. Don't do that. Like, is the exact reason why at 25 we've run from holding ourselves accountable in that situation too. We're afraid of the outcome. We're afraid of the answer. We're afraid of being wrong. We're afraid of getting punished. We're afraid of getting our ass beat. And we're afraid of life.
Okay, so
Yeah,
fear
no, I
based.
think fear is the main answer why we do a lot of the things we do as uniquely human
Mm-hmm.
as we possibly can. Is
Agreed.
like we're not shown how to actually handle the things that we do in our life at
Amen.
5, 6, 7 years old.
Here,
We're
here to that.
shown obedience. We're shown, okay, you do things the way that I say you do them, or I'm going to fucking have this reaction.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not how the fuck you fucking handle it, stupid. That's not how you teach.
No.
But there are still people teaching that same exact way, even today as parents. And it's like, yeah, you need to teach your kid discipline, but you need to teach your kid self discipline. It's not whether or not mommy or daddy caught me today. It's mommy and daddy showed me that that's wrong always. And it's okay. And it's okay that I fucked up. Let me hold myself accountable. Mom, I fucked up. This is what I did.
That's a really good way to really look at it because so many of us are raised by the iron fist, if you will. You know what I mean? Because that's in the old school. That's what they did. That's how they raised their children to be, who or what they thought they needed to be to get life right. But I think you're right that excuses are used as emotional protection because they fear the repercussions. It could be. I think fear is huge, huge, huge. But expanding that a little bit, I feel like excuses can be e- also caused by the exhaustion or past trauma, maybe a grief response
Yeah.
that may be happening. Although those also may be fear based at some level. I think that there are trauma and grief responses are really really weird. And so, like I think that fear is the biggest, but there are some other reasons that people use why people use excuses so much.
Well, a lot of those trauma responses and stuff like that turn into mental illness.
Yeah,
And this is a part of like some of the things that I've worked with other people with. Is like it can turn into CPTSD. It can turn into ADHD. Like it could be caused by ADHD. It could be even heavier things like borderline personality disorder. And if you don't look at those things and understand you're giving yourself a fucking excuse and working through it and seeing why the fuck you reacted that way, you're kind of setting yourself up to fall into those mental illnesses.
yeah,
And that's the hard part. And that's where holding yourself accountable even during the fucking hard times is a step in the right direction for life. It's
especially
not
during the
just,
hard times. Yeah,
yeah. And that's the hard part is like, you have to realize it. You have to take the steps and you have to take the steps to move forward and get better. Because if you do not change, so I don't know if this is a unique thought process or not, And it could make me sound like an asshole, but I don't really care. I'm an asshole. I think a lot of mental illnesses, whether it's personality things and stuff like that, or what, are based entirely on your reactions to things. And a lot of them you can control up into a certain point. Now, can you control all of them? No, you fucking can't.
Mm.
That's impossible. It's impossible to hold yourself accountable 110% of the time. It's not going to work. But can you change your reaction to everyday stimuli to the point where everything is not triggering and you're not screaming at somebody eating toilet paper during COVID? Yes, you fucking can. Like, it's not complex. It just takes time and effort. And I think a lot of people would rather, instead of taking the time and effort to like stop allowing themselves to be triggered by everyday fucking knuckle draggers, they just give up. And the fact that they give up gives them that excuse of like, oh, well, I have to care about everything because everything is personal and everything is me. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I think that excuses masquerade as reasonable explanations a lot for people,
Mhm.
and it helps them reason out in their own mind why they are making the choice that they're making. You as a human really need to find the difference between the compassion that you're going to have with yourself and coddling yourself.
Yeah.
You can have compassion and still do the right thing. You don't have to curl up into a ball and everything's going to be okay. You're the victim. It's not. 90% of the 99% of the time, it's probably not that. Um, it's very, very much. It's very much when you talk to yourself about not having the time, or I'm too tired, I'll start tomorrow, or this is just how I am, I'm not going to change. So why do I need to address that? Or the excuse is nobody ever taught me how. Well, nobody ever taught me how either. Nobody ever taught me, that I needed to do, emotional work, that I needed to make myself emotionally strong, emotionally responsible. Nobody taught us the hard or soft skills of grief and how to process through it and not let it get us stuck in these perpetual quicksand pits.
Yeah. I guess my thought process is very, very different. And my mom pointed it out the other day when she was with me. We were out, we brought my daughter to a party and helped her get groceries and stuff like that. And she was looking at me and she told me, she's like, Zach, I'm doing so much better here, here, and here. And I said, Mom, I kind of got lost why people didn't understand why cigarettes were a big thing. And she's like, why? Because like that's been her main thing. That's been her vice for a very long time and stuff like that. And I was like, well, most people smoke a pack of cigarettes a day. That's 20 cigarettes a day. It's like, well, how much time is that? And I just sat here and I did the math. It's about 10 minutes a cigarette. That's 200 minutes a day. And that's 3 hours and about 20 minutes a day that you're giving up every single day to something where you have to take yourself out of the situation that you're doing and go and sit in a separate room from your kids, go and sit in a separate room from your grandkids, where you are totally controlled by something. I was like, and I remember hearing everybody look at me and be like, Zach, this time that your kids are in diapers, or this time that you're feeding them, or that time that you're holding them is very, very precious. And I remember everybody saying that so much when Maddie was a baby.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, every day you give up 3 hours, regardless of if that time is like with your kid home and they're not at school or whatever, you're giving up 3 hours. You're saying, okay, well, dinner's done. I just sat there and took an hour and a half to make that. I just ate dinner. So now we're 2 hours into dinner. I have to go slink away for 10 minutes to smoke a cigarette, smoke two cigarettes, whatever that is. You're giving up that time. You're actively giving up that time. And she's like, whoa, I never saw it that way. It's like, yeah, most people don't. And I think that that's why those vices are such a big thing, especially ones that like take you away from your family or take you away from this thing that's supposed to be important. Is like you are giving yourself an excuse of like why this is acceptable because you don't want to look at it at cost value. Like that cost value of that cigarette. that going to go get milk and have your fucking alone time or whatever that is, that has cost. Everything has cost. And
Yeah.
if you don't want to look at the cost of it, you're giving yourself an excuse of why it's acceptable. And that becomes a very, very big thing when you actually look at it and be like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a different way to look at it, and that's one of the things, I mean, me and your mother tend to look at things from a more emotional point of view, whereas you tend to look at things from a more logical point of view, and it's valuable to be able to have conversations like that. Of
Yeah.
course, she's never seen it in the it's taking 3 hours away from your whole day. So 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 21 hours a day. That's almost a full day a week
Yep.
that it's taking away from you. So now you have 6 days a week in your life, and so you have a full day that you could be whatever, doing whatever, and so that does put things into a completely different perspective.
Half
And
of your day, if you think about it this way, 9 hours of sleep, 3 hours of cigarettes, half your day's gone. Half of it. You're not getting it back. You can't sleep less so that way you can smoke your cigarettes and be more comfortable with it. It's a weird way to think about it. I completely understand. But at
absolutely.
some point, the time that you have here, the strength that you have, the excuses that you give yourself, they're not doing anything other than comforting yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. There's value in hearing that opposite, very opposite point of view. There's value in that, and it's actually able to heal that old wound that make the excuses feel valid, because you're
Mhm.
you're opening up that part of your mind that's closed to that idea, and now she's open to that idea, so it may help her take the next steps, because she has done amazing strides in
Yeah.
the amount that she used to smoke and the time that she used to take away from everything. That it's notable and it's commendable, Doreen. It's absolutely commendable.
Yeah.
Hear us when we say it absolutely is, but hearing that other point of view, um, it gives her maybe uh, the umph that she needs to go the rest of the way, because she's lost so much weight and she's becoming more
Well,
mobile in the things that she's doing as well.
absolutely. And when you look at life and you're like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed by these things.
Mhm.
And I'm not just saying her specifically, but like looking at what the world is. The world is no longer you sit your kid on your lap and you smoke a cigarette and you tell them a bedtime story all at the same fucking time.
Right.
Now that's 30 minutes out of your day, plus 10 minutes to smoke the cigarette, whatever. Like those are separate things. You cannot overlap time with that anymore. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So now
So
you're stopping everything you're doing and taking that 10 minutes that you're giving yourself to do everything else. Now there's no more time overlap the way that there was in the 60s and 70s and 80s.
right.
So that time is so much more imperative and cut out and stuff like that that it becomes almost a solo chunk.
Hmm. Oh,
It,
absolutely.
it's like I remember parties back in the day, and I'm sure you do too, where it's like, oh, everybody's sitting there smoking a cigarette. People disappear for a third of the fucking party because they sit there and just chain smoke together. And like, oh, out of the 3 hour party, all of the grown-ups were gone for the past hour. Why?
Yeah.
What happened? One person lights a cigarette, somebody else walks out. Oh, let's light another one. And that's obviously not the only self excuse that everybody gives, but it's such a time sink one that you can point out and be like, everybody does give yourself an excuse. Everybody does. I
Yeah.
do with video games if I'm not playing with my kids or for work. Like that's my time. But if I'm not doing everything I can, I'm not holding myself accountable if I give myself that time before everything's done.
Right.
But everything is understanding the effectiveness and cost of what the fuck you're doing.
And that's
If
the
you're
power
coddling
shift.
yourself, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. If you're enabling yourself, you're hurting you and you're hurting every single person around you.
Mhm.
Everybody, including myself, can do better. Everybody can. At some
Absolutely.
point, it's
Yep.
okay to not be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. And it's not about, like I said at the beginning of this episode, it's not about shaming yourself. It's about rewriting the sentence from I can't, or I'm choosing not to because blah, blah, blah. And really noticing the real need under the excuse, if you have one. For instance, if you need rest, or if it's not safe, or you need more clarity before you can face a situation. It's just giving yourself the permission to make the decisions solidly that are going to build that confidence and discipline to turn those things from excuses into strength, you know?
Yeah, and it's not always like super contextual things like that. It really isn't. Like everybody contextually can do better here or there. Like, dude, if I don't scroll on my phone for 10 minutes while I'm laying in bed, guess what? I can get up and feel better about my day. But that's a lot of energy and holding myself accountable when I first wake up.
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding of who you are as a person. It's understanding who the people around you are as people and learning how to cope and contextually use those things in order to feel better. Like we had a comment on a short this week as this is going up, but 2 weeks ago as this is up now, of like, well, how do you get out of the rut? You change what the fuck you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Gotta make a different choice.
Like that is so uniquely different to you. Being vague about it is the only way that I can contextually and honestly give you an answer. Is if you sit on the fucking toilet or you cigarette smoke for a third of your day. Guess what? The only way that you could do that and change that is to actually change it and want
Sure.
the change.
Yep.
Like, and that's not giving yourself the excuse to fucking keep it the same.
Right, right. If you've been through things, grief, old wounds, it may make those excuses feel valid, but the fact remains that you need to do something different than you're doing. And if you don't know where to start, you have to look inward and find out what is stopping that forward momentum, and then you have to chip away at that. It's you have to use that strength. Well, first you need to care for yourself and not punish yourself through the change, and then you have to use that strength as self care. And it often begins with one small, brave choice or change. It
Exactly.
often
And it
starts
becomes,
very small. Yep.
and those small choices, that changing that 3 hours and 30 minutes into, an hour and a half
Hmm.
or 2 hours is a huge change. Like, and that's the part of it that blows my mind that in that specific situation people don't see is if you look at it, you're at work and your kid's at school for 8 hours out of the day.
Hmm.
You're sleeping for 8 hours of those days. Too. So now you have 16 hours out of the day you're taking out of the situation. Now add 3 more hours on top of that. You have 4 hours left to impact your kid's life in a positive way
Hmm.
when you could have eight. That becomes so small and minuscule that it's really, really hard, I think, for a lot of people to see when you're not seeing the cost of where your intentions and everything comes from. It's hard. And I think that power that I think a lot of people need to have in their choices and everything else is exactly where the thing needs to come across. It's like there is value. There's value in every single thing you do, including picking up and putting your socks on the right feet.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
do everything with intent and you do everything with effort and energy, everything that you do has a bigger value to everything around you.
Absolutely. Perfect example of the shift. Other examples may include maybe in my experience. I have a history of being a more explosive personality when I get anxious, and so my real time example of a shift in my self betterment is when I want to yell, like the kids are all in an uproar, and I want to yell because they are at here. And in order for them to even hear me, I have to be here, right? Well, no, I don't. And so I've taken great pride in coming from being that person to yell and choosing grounding myself instead so that I can handle the three of them all at one time. It's you wanting to give up on a goal, but taking a tiny step forward just to stay in motion. You
Yep.
know, it's
You
rewrite
don't
that
have
inner
to
narrative.
you don't have to swing and like swing for the fucking home run every single time and expect only home runs.
No.
You might get out sometimes and it's okay, but you see you see your swing, you see your ball placement, you see every single step that you could have done better
Hmm.
or that you did do better, and you fucking change the game every single time that you take a fucking step.
Replay the tapes. Yep. Replay the tapes. Use evidence from your own life and mistakes to build yourself up, not punch down on yourself, because it's
Yeah.
going to be very, very important to keep and build your inner strength daily. It is. It's hard to hold yourself accountable. It's hard to choose strength over that easy excuse. It, it's it's grounding, using the tools. If you don't have them, we can do a whole episode on how we ground ourselves. That may be a good thing, because that person in our comments may be wanting or screaming for that. I don't know how do I make that change? How do I Yeah, I can make a different choice, but I don't know what other choice. Well, first you have to ground yourself. you know there's three truths that you need to really ask yourself. In my opinion, it's the what, why scenario. Like, what am I avoiding? And why am I avoiding that thing? Or what is the problem? And why am I not changing that problem? And then actually making the step to change it. You may not know that actually the mistakes that you have made in the past look like strength in your future. You have to make that choice to try.
Yeah, the scariest things that you do in your life will be the things that actually uniquely change it.
Mhm.
It's just actually getting through the fucking change to realize what the fuck you're doing.
Right.
If you spend 8 hours a day fucking arguing with your significant other and struggling and causing massive problems between the both of you, the answer is probably to leave or have them leave and fucking rebuild. But that's once again choosing strength instead of being like, oh my God, they're the only person in the world that's going to love me because they chose me when I was down. Dude, if they're choosing you when you're down and they're not helping you better it, they're just as at fault as you are because it's both of your job. You guys are making the choice to be together. You guys are making the choice to be around each other. So you're both supposed to take the grounding steps of fixing it before it gets worse.
Hmm.
If you don't fix it before it gets worse, you're just as much at fault.
No, absolutely, absolutely. You have to be able to recognize, whatever the situation is. You have to be able to recognize excuses for what they really are. And how to break the cycle and how to build strength in those small, sustainable ways. It's important that you not think that these events of grandeur are going to make your life better. That's not the way it goes. It really is in small, sustainable steps. Holding yourself accountable for the small things at first, and then stepping into the deeper waters. Holding yourself accountable is not for the weak.
And feel the wins.
Hmm.
Regardless of if they're small or fucking huge, let the home runs feel like fucking home runs. But don't let them make you fall backwards because you celebrate them.
Hmm. Yep. And even if you feel wronged in a situation, you may still have something to something that you're excusing,
Yeah.
that may need to come out. You know what I mean? Like, there, like my situation, like leaving. I'm having a dilemma, or not really a dilemma. I know what I need to do. But at the same point, Zach, I'm sorry for leaving you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for a lot of things. I did a lot of right things, and there's no buts in the situation. I'm sorry. I'm
Yep.
sorry I left you hanging. That was shitty shit to do. And I am doing different, and I'm proving different moving forward.
Mhm.
It's a hard realization to make that you were wrong first, or may have been wrong first in a situation, but the
But
excuses that you make and pile up are just going to end up putting, you might as well put a trash bag around you and throw it in the garbage, because you're never going to get
exactly.
anywhere with it.
That's why the point in that situation of like, it was the right thing for you to do in this situation, and this situation of like,
Hmm.
it made me grow. That is a positive that you cannot fucking be apologetic for. You
Right.
can be apologetic for saying, hey, I'm sorry I didn't support you in the way that I needed to. Whether that was phone calls and making sure your mom's phone bill was paid and I could call you whenever you
Drop the
needed me
ball.
to.
Yep.
And like, yeah, that's okay. You could be sorry for not paying the bill or making sure that it was available. That's okay. But I don't want you to apologize for leaving and fixing you, because
Mm.
leaving and fixing you, regardless, you should never fucking apologize for that.
No, sir, and you're right. You're absolutely right. And I did need to fix me, but at the same time, I could have made those
Exactly.
between us, between me and you, I could
Yeah,
have made that path available, and that's what I failed to do, and I'm sorry.
exactly.
Yep.
That's, but saying no buts in apologies
Yeah.
is very numb to understanding or helping somebody understand the context.
Right. There's a lot of context.
Just after a but doesn't have to be an excuse. It could be, but I had to grow in that way in order to be better for you in this situation or be better as a whole in a person. Like,
And that's a
just saying
strength
but
over an
doesn't mean
excuse.
exactly.
Yep.
And I don't think a lot of people like, I've been yelled at and screamed at saying but and an excuse to like, no, there's a lot of fucking context that we both need to come to the table and fucking understand.
Well, that but may be followed by a strength instead of an excuse. That's the difference, you know?
Like, and this is how raw I get on this show. And I want to be compassionate, not only to myself, but to my ex. After my son was born, I started struggling mental health wise. And so did she. She went off the deep end very, very drastically and was physically violent and abusive to everybody in the situation and ended up attempting suicide.
Right.
She tried to end her Minecraft account and it was fucking bad. And in that situation, I did the wrong thing because I had an impulse. I had a dream and I was holding a third kid, which in that context, I was 19 and had two.
Right.
And my first stable girlfriend at the time, I saw in that dream and I was like, I wonder if this happened and that's the reason why this struggle happened. And I just wanted clarity. I just wanted clarity. And that was seen as like I was doing the wrong thing. I wasn't trying to do the wrong thing. I just wanted clarity, but asking anything was the wrong thing. And
Right.
I understand that now. But like trying to give that context of like, this is what I was thinking. I understand it's wrong, but I'd
Right.
rather be clear and like not make it look as suspicious as it was. Yeah, I was in a rough fucking time. That doesn't mean somebody's gonna up and fucking leave. That means that somebody's struggling too.
Right.
And it's like, I completely get how the fucking context looks.
No,
I
absolutely.
completely get how everything struggles. But like, that was hard as fucking hell to go through.
For sure. But being able to weigh those two things is the strength. You know, you're not making an excuse for your behavior. You're trying to have the person that you went through it with understand the whys of why you were thinking. See, that's what my mother was for me. She was always the person to say, okay, you did that. That was a fucked up thing. But why? Why, Karen Jean? Why did you do that? Did you think that was okay? And after I explained to her the thought process, no, the action still was not okay, but we understood the context behind it. It's not
Yeah.
an excuse situation. It's understanding how you acted and why you acted that way, so you can do it differently going forward, and use your past excuses or your past bullshit, not really excuses, because bullshit just piles on top of bullshit, but and you just fall down in it. It's no foundation, but it helps you to build a foundation. Those truths, those little small
Yeah.
subtle truths, build strength so that you don't fall towards the excuses first anymore.
Yeah. And it's like the the way that that situation was held and the way that situation was looked at caused the problem that happened next. because
Yeah.
she was being physically violent, because she was being abusive and not understanding in that situation, we got pushed to a separation. I developed feelings for somebody else. And I then had to put that back in context of like, no, I have a fucking family. I need to fix this first. And like, I watched her fucking spiral. I watched her deal with alcohol abuse after that. We went homeless. I moved back in with my parents. Everything went to shit. And like, I was looking at it with Bree and I'm like, dude, honestly, like, I love Ava to death.
Yeah.
But if I was going to leave at any time, it probably would have been then. Because, like, not because you leave people when they're at their lowest, but at some point, you're allowed to say, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And walking away and pulling my son out of that situation and pulling my daughter out of that situation when there was actual huge problems going on that nobody fucking saw and nobody wanted to hear is just as bad as it was 4 years ago when I walked away to begin with. When I said, I'm not doing this anymore, you need to leave. Those things are impactful. And it's not understanding the excuse. It's not giving yourself the excuse. It's understanding what shit you fucking did and you sit in it. And you fucking say, okay, how can I fucking improve this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's as small as, not smoking those 3 extra cigarettes that we have a extra half an hour with your family, or it's, admitting fault and standing in the situation of like, oh my God, what the fuck is this?
Yep. And if you say you don't have the time, make the goddamn time. If you're too tired, get your rest and then start and make it consistent. Or don't don't be. I said all these before, but don't just fall into that. That's who I am and that's how I was raised. Or nobody really ever taught me how to do this. Teach your goddamn self. Nobody taught me how to deal with grief. Nobody taught me how to deal with my emotions. Nobody taught me about emotional intelligence. I had to teach myself at 45 to 50 years old, and continue or start my journey then, you know.
And not everything that is a strength that you're holding yourself accountable for is sitting in the middle of a city with all of your fucking excuses and all of your pain and all of the things that you've caused on your fucking back as a whipping post.
No,
You
no, you
don't need
can't.
those fucking things held over your head. You don't need to be beat over the head for every single little thing you did,
Right.
because if you made the right decision at the end, you fixed it. Now you
Yep.
fix the feelings and problems that you've caused. And guess what? People can't let go of the past that you fucked up. That's okay. Once again, you fucked up. Your choices may or may not have pushed that person out of your life. Guess what? It's okay to say that that person's no longer in your life.
Mhm.
And go back and listen to the last episode if you want to reconcile. That's how it works. Guys, we'll see you fucking next time. We hope that you guys had a good Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Keep
we
going.
do. Yes, on this lonely road with us.
Light the fucking lantern. We'll be there soon, boys. Keep walking.